Out. We had to pry on it pretty good here and there. Like I said, it's a non-California car. We're spoiled out here. Hold this input shaft really good on this side now that we've taken this bearing and snap ring off. And you'll see here, this is that input shaft that I put the hose clamp on the other side. This normally would then fall out, and then the bearings, there's 23 pieces to it, go everywhere. And then you're out another $150 when you can't find them. So, good trick, works great. Now I'm just going to lift this up, throw it on the bench. Okay, this is that front pinion gear for the front differential. It's driven by the center diff. So now you can take that hose clamp off. And then this is the fun part. All those lovely bearings. If I had $1 for every phone call I got about these, they'd love me for this video. So there we go. We pull this out. Inside of here, there's going to be a bearing that sits on here, so you want to get that out. And you usually throw these in a Ziploc. There's also a wavy spring that ends up sitting on this as well. Once it's all together, it ends up there. So keep track of these. Throw these in a Ziploc bag. There's 23 of these. You know, check this surface for galling, just like any of the other bearing surfaces. If it looks smooth and clean, you're good. Same within here. You'll see the other side of the surface. And then that other bearing race is going to be inside of here. It's going to look similar to that one I dropped earlier. And we'll get that out, and we'll make sure it stays with this shaft. Now we got to work on taking the input shaft out. And since we got the bearing on the other side off before, there's not much left to it. So first thing we're going to do on this side is we're going to get some C-clip pliers right here, and we're going to start taking apart this selector shaft. When we undo the C-clip on this part right here, what this is going to do is give us the slack to really move stuff around. As you can see, once you get your hands covered in gear oil, it's not as easy to work on these much anymore. There you go. Got it off. Once I said with the other one, you spread it too far, be careful. Sometimes before you take it together, before you put it back together, tighten this up a little bit again. But then you take this piece off right here, and that gives us a little more slack to work with. And then we can work on getting this out of here. The shaft comes apart, and this is part of what goes to reverse. This ends up grabbing reverse, and then you grab the input shaft with this. Once again, you need to keep this oriented properly. So this is where the pick or screwdriver comes into play. If you can get something sharp enough and arrow towards the front, it saves you the headache later. So we got that, so I can throw that up in the air, do whatever with it, I'm good. So I got that, put that out of the way. And we'll end up getting this off here in a second. You can see in here the reverse gear. We're going to have to get this out of the way as well. But now this is the input shaft, and this has the 3/4. You can see brass and one composite. So obviously they were thinking about that. We ended up putting composite through the whole tranny. So we'll be coming back to this in a little bit. We'll be pushing this apart and swapping out the synchros. But another thing you want to look at with this is when you really start looking at the gears, and right in here on the gear, if you see any major pitting on first gear, I've seen that before. It gets like pretty deep and worn. This one looks really nice actually. There's barely a groove. If you start getting really beat up, this is your first gear. I've seen them pretty nasty, and it was a friend of mine, so we ran it and it's been fine, but it depends on what you're going to do. If you're going to road race, obviously you want all your gears in pristine shape. Yeah, this one looks really good. There's no deep pitting in the gears, and this is one of the gears that shows at first gear. And you're going to want to look at all the gears. This tranny actually looks in really good shape, so this one should be fine. Just the rebuild. It's pretty rare, like I said, and it's up to you. If your gears were quiet, it's ultimately your call. You drove the car before, you're going to drive it after. If you're going to go road race it for a whole season, 30 minutes, 40 minutes, at a time, really beat the heck out of it, then yeah, you might want to look into changing any shafts or gears while you're in there.